Hello again. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this webinar titled Ace Your Exams, Manage Stress Better. I'm Runa Agarwal. I'm going to be your moderator for today. And we at Page are very pleased to organize this for your benefit. Now, for over 30 years, Page has been a trusted and a leading service provider in Hyderabad, specializing in nurturing excellence among students, particularly in the field of competitive examinations. Since 1998, we have consistently strived to offer the right kind of guidance to career-focused and ambitious students, amongst whom you also count. And that makes us one of the best junior colleges in Hyderabad. Over the years, we've placed thousands of students in various universities and disciplines across the country and abroad. And so we are here today to help you navigate, to begin with, the next few months of academic goals and then longer. We believe that enhanced information about and exposure to life and career options will help to build the right kind of curiosity and will enable you to delve deeper into examining your own potential and interest. The goal, of course, is to make a career choice or a set of choices that you would be happy with and successful at academically as well as professionally, because this is a choice that you will have to live with for most of your lives. So how do we at Page help you do this? Our colleges offer comprehensive intermediate courses with MPC, PPC, MEC, and CEC for students who are in classes 11 and 12, integrated with coaching for engineering, architecture, design, fashion technology, law, medicine, management, hotel management, chartered accountancy, or CA as you know it, mass communications, social sciences, and liberal arts entrance exams. Because these entrance exams, this is your first toll gate towards embarking on this career journey. We are committed to delivering top quality, stress-free education. And that's why we are here today. We are here because you are on the threshold of one of the key milestones of your future careers, the academic entry. And knowing how important this stage is, if you can manage to not be bogged down by pressure, you will have in your hands one of the key tools to ace this. So what do we have for you today? We have a resource person, a very experienced psychologist, Ms. Spandana Komuri, who is going to share with you some insights to break down that stress demon and to enable you to deal with it effectively. Our format as we go forward is going to be as follows. Ms. Spandana has a presentation for you to help you follow as she speaks. And after that, we will open the session to Q&A from everybody. So to make that efficient, I will ask you to type your questions in the Q&A window, and then we will pose them for you, because it's possible that more than one of you may have the same question or a similar question. So listen carefully. And if you think that that question has not been answered, let us know. At this time, if you'd like to keep a paper and pen handy for any notes you may want to take during the session, you can do that. And now I'm going to hand it over to Spandana.
Thanks, Runa. Good morning, everybody. Very happy to be part of the session today. I think we have the way that we have planned the entire program, like Runa said, is to make sure that we divided it into the presentation part and then followed by the questions, because otherwise, we don't want to be just talking and just leaving you with a lot of questions. Give me 1 second. Hope you can see me. So we would want to cover the assessment. Sorry, we would want to cover the content as soon as possible, and we'll leave a lot of time for questions. Like Runa said, you can post the questions in the chat, and she would be moderating that. So let's get on with it. The first thing that I would want to ask you is maybe make a note of what is your expectation from the session. Maybe we'll spend about 10 seconds, whatever comes to you. the first thing that comes to you, that, okay, if I'm going to give 1 hour to this session, what is it that I want to take away? Make a note of that expectation in your book. This will help us to understand whether, you've been able to get the things that you wanted from the session. Also, if there are any other questions that are not meeting your expectations, we can answer the same. Yeah. So I hope everybody has written down their expectation or expectations, right? We'll dive directly into the session. So when we talk about stress, and such a commonly used word, it is, I think, the most common word that's used in mental health, and we use it, on an everyday basis. So let me ask you this: do you think stress is good or bad? If it was a live classroom, I could have looked at you guys, but since we don't have that opportunity, maybe we can use the chat window to understand what do you guys think. Do you think stress is good or bad? You can just type good or
I
bad, whatever comes to you. Runa.
I have one response that says bad.
Okay.
Anybody else that agrees with that? Somebody says maybe bad, ma'am.
Okay. Nobody else? I see about a good number of participants.
Is everybody else? Well, there's somebody here that says, I think it is moderate.
Okay. It's a safe zone. Just
And
keeping it
somebody
moderate.
that says it's good in limits.
Okay. 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 So there are certain, yes, Runa.
Go ahead, Spandan.
Oh, so there are people who are saying it's moderate, it's bad, so on and so forth, right? So if you look at stress as just an emotion, just an experience that you have in your body and your mind, it is not always bad. And that might be very controversial to how we usually see stress and how we usually experience stress. But let me take you to, the maybe the just the basics of how stress is usually seen, right? So if you're looking at any performance, and performance doesn't necessarily have to be an academic performance, it can be any performance, right? You want, if there is sports, there's dance, anything, right? If you're looking at performance, the performance curve is always measured as performance and stress. So on one axis, you have performance, on one axis, you have stress. And usually the curve looks like this. The first part is where you're more calmer, you are, maybe you're not very involved in that particular activity. Think of something that is not, sort of creating that passion in you, is not really changing anything for you. What you experience is boredom. It doesn't give you enough, what do you say, it doesn't give you enough push, it doesn't give you enough fuel to achieve what you really want to achieve, right? But when you go a little further, when you get the right amount of push or the right amount of motivation, that is what we call eustress. Eustress is what we call, you is good and stress is your stress. So it is basically good stress. In this particular point is where you experienced a lot of focus, a lot of energy. This is where you feel like you're in the flow. This is where you feel like you are, going with the right amount of energy, right amount of fuel that is required to get the job done. You feel like you're in the zone, and nobody can, like, disturb you. That's where, that is what we call the eustress. But what happens is that when eustress goes on for a long period of time, it becomes distress, and this is where you experience fatigue, and this is where you experience breakdown, right? So the question that I was asking before, when we're talking about whether stress is good or bad, there is no binary answer to that. Usually, stress is seen as a very negative thing, but that's not entirely true. If I were to ask you a question, uh, let's say if you didn't have exams, how many of you will study? Right? If we did have stress of, I don't know, running a family, paying our bills, how many of us will work? If we didn't have the stress of keeping our body fit, how many of us will go work out? Right? So eustress is extremely important in creating that right amount of energy for you to get the job done. So usually eustress is very positive in nature. It energizes you, it motivates you, it keeps you on the roll. It is generally short term and it can improve performance. For example, can somebody give me an example of eustress other than your exams? Anything else that's clicking, which is positive in nature, which sort of motivates you, gets things done? Any activity that is an example of eustress? Maybe I can see some answers. Do we have any answers, Runa?
Nothing else. Rajeshwari Boma says something about first day.
First day?
Cricket matches of 90 overs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anything else? We experience this on an everyday basis, something that's very important for us to get the work done. Maybe one more example and we'll move on so that we are on the same page about what positive stress and eustress is.
Working towards our livelihood.
Oh, it's a heavy answers for a Sunday morning. Let's break it down. How about organizing a birthday party? Right? You have your birthday party coming up, or you want to organize a birthday party for your loved ones or your friend. What do? You plan, you have to invite people, you have to get things done, you have to sort out, the gifts. There is so much of work involved, but it energizes you. There is a sense of positivity there, right? You want to get things, you feel that flow. But if you're organizing birthday party almost every other day, then it is not short term, right? Then it is something that is repetitive, and hence any eustress, you know when it's moved, when it's continued for a longer period of time, becomes into distress. Any eustress. If you take if you're stressed about, let's say, positive stress about going to gym or organizing a birthday party or deciding your career, now that's something that needs to be short term. It can't be something that's happening again and again and again and again. If you see yourself being stuck in that space, if you see yourself repeating the same questions again and again, it often goes into distress. And since we don't use the word distress, we usually just use the word stress, which is the more negative form of the stress. Yeah. So the red line that you see, that is where distress happens, where there is fatigue, there is breakdown, you're not very motivated, the idea of doing simple things feels like a lot, you feel maybe a sense of withdrawal, you don't want to be a part of that. It just adds up, right? And that's the area that we're going to be talking about. And in the presentation forward, we will also be talking about how the positive stress can be, something that you can focus on to get the work done. Because at the end of the day, when you have examinations, when you have careers to choose, when you have things to plan, especially at this crucial time of the year in your life, there needs to be some amount of stress. But maybe we have to be very mindful to see whether that is the positive stress that is motivating us, or have we already moved to the negative zone, right? So just to sort of conclude what stress means, this is what your any definition says. It's something that we experience mentally, emotionally, and physically. And it's very important to focus on these three words, because we will be talking a little bit about them in some time. Because when we say stress, we only think that it is just mental. It's something that we just experience mentally here, which is not very true. So if we are more aware of how we are experiencing stress, the more we are in control or more we are knowledgeable in learning how to manage that, right? So why don't we start with a small quiz, something that will take you less than a minute to understand your own, stress levels at this point of time. So, uh, Runa, if you can just post the link for our students in the chat. Guys, what I want you to do is just click on the link. You don't have to enter any details. There will be a tab that says take the assessment or take the quiz, and just answer the questions, and it will give you a score, or it will give you, how stressed you are at this point of time. So just once you're done, just maybe paste your results in the chat so that we all are aware of what is the average stress that this group is experiencing. Your,
Okay, I'm seeing scores. Wait, I'm seeing 18, 9, 20, 19, 15, 19, 17, 17, 24.
wow.
Any others? We've got a good number of participants over here. Let us hear your scores too. 14.
Hmm. So looks like the average is somewhere between 15 to 20. That's where
I
majority
think
of,
that's what it's looking like by and large.
right, right, right. So this is just to take a moment to understand how we are, at what level we are experiencing stress at this point of time. It's very, very important. Yeah, Runa.
No, go ahead, please.
Okay. But it's very, very important to understand that just because the score is something, you don't have to, like we will not be just stuck at that number throughout. That's the dynamic quality about stress, is that, it keeps changing, and the very idea that it changes gives us hope that we can work on it. So for example, let's say that you're very stressed about a particular exam, a particular score, right? And then suddenly your friend calls and tells you some good news, or I don't know, you get something that you've been waiting for a very long time, or you hear from a college that you're very interested in, then automatically you feel that relief, right? So the stress has sort of come down, and hence stress is very, very dynamic in nature, right? So at this point of time, the number that is in front of you is just an indication of the stress that you're experiencing at this point of time. The number will not remain the same and should not remain the same either, right? So let's look at, now that we know that there is, okay, there is good stress, there is bad stress, there is stress that motivates us, there is stress that sort of stops us from doing things to our fullest capacity. What can we do to uh, maybe understand stress better in our bodies and minds so that we can take care of it, right? So before we quickly move to that, if you see the numbers, this is what research indicates, that if in a space of performance, especially in the student community, stress plays 34% of impact in the performance level, anxiety 27%, and if the person is depressed, it plays about 18% impact on the person's performance level, right? So when we talk about mental health, we talk about stress or anxiety or depression, any of these things, these are not things that we just are talking about because we're seeing that. These are things that we're talking about because research is indicating more and more that unless and until we learn how to manage these factors, until unless we learn how to take care of these factors, no matter whatever we do, there will be an impact on the performance level, right? So let's directly dive into what can we do to take care of the stress part. But before we go there, like I said, it's very important that you understand how you experience distress or stress, right? So in this particular thing, I have divided it into three parts. The three words that we used before: the physical, emotional, and mental. We have categorized it in three ways so that you are more aware of how you experience stress. I think one of the main important things to understand is that stress is not experienced by everybody similarly. So if I were to ask a quick question in the group, and maybe we'll take like one or two answers, how many of you feel very sleepy when you are stressed, and how many of you, cannot go to sleep? Like, no matter how tired you are, you just can't go to sleep when you are stressed. Can you just type in the chat window, sleepy or not sleepy when you are stressed?
I have responses to both. Some that say not able to sleep during stress. I have some that say sleepy, some that say sometimes sleepy, but the overwhelming response seems to be sleepy.
Mm, right. Thanks, Runa. So if you see just this particular participant group, there are people who are very sleepy when they're very stressed. Some people can't sleep when they're stressed. So it is very important to not understand stress as this one thing that fits all, but to see how individually you're responding to it. So the more aware you are of the indicators, the more you'll be able to manage them. So, like I said, physically, what you might experience is that maybe pains, aches. A lot of people, have these muscle tensions, these headaches, these migraines that get triggered when they're very stressed. They feel a very high sense of you know like your sort of out of body experience where there's palpitations, the heart is racing too fast, you are not able to either eat, or you're eating a lot. That happens a lot with students, especially where you sort of indulge in binge eating, or you don't have the appetite to eat, you feel very sick and you can't have anything just before the exam or when you're studying for the exams. These are very important indicators of stress, and when you learn how your body reacts to stress, you'll be able to manage them better, right? And physical symptoms of stress are the most easiest ways of understanding your distress, because sometimes when it comes to emotional indicators or mental indicators, you might think that you are maybe imagining them, or you're overthinking, so on and so forth. But physical indicators are something that are very much experienced by the body, so they are very you can't be fooling your body into thinking otherwise, right? So these are just few indicators of physical indicators of distress. The next would be the mental. um, lot of students, sometimes we see is that they cry for no reason. There is really nothing that's so huge or such a trigger for them to cry, but they have these tears rolling down even when something is not going their way, which is what we called crying spells. Even though you read a lot, you're not able to sort of hold on to that information. The memory sort of takes a hit. There is constant negative thinking about, what if I don't get this, what if I don't get that, what if I'm alone in this entire process, what if my friends do better than me, and I have to be alone in this process. So much of negative thinking. There is indecisiveness, where you think that I'll do this also, I'll do this also, but there is no planning around it. So when we talk about mental indicators of distress, these are something that you can experience. Anxiety again is just like stress can be experienced by people differently. So I often ask people, how where do they experience anxiety, and a lot of them say that they experience that in their palms, or in their legs, or in their gut. So understanding your own indicators is, again, like I said, very important. And behavior, again, is something that's very evident to other people. So when you see a friend, or when you see somebody behaving very differently from how their usual behavior is, it can be a sign of distress. So some of the indicators is where they isolate themselves, they don't want to talk to people, or generally people who are very like they mingle easily, that they're very easy to talk to, are now sort of withdrawing, or the sudden outbursts of anger. They are sort of angry on really small things, something that doesn't require that amount of temper. There is impulsiveness, there is hyperactivity in terms of they start with something but they're not finishing that, then they're moving to something else. 2 3 particular tasks are open, which is not their usual style of work. And of course, if there are any other substance use or anything at all, this is the behavioral indicators of distress, right? So when we understand these indicators, creating your own plan or your own mental well-being plan is very very I'm not saying it's very easy, but it can be done when you are not looking at one fit all, but looking at what is it that works for me. So in the next part of the presentation, we put down some strategies, some ways in which students have found help, and you can choose whatever that works for you, right? So, like I said, everybody experiences distress differently. So, first thing that I find very useful, and this is something that not just helps students but adults and anybody at any age, this particular techniques helps people to really get things into perspective. This is what we call the circle of control, right? If you want, you can make a note or you can Google that. The information is widely available. Yes, Runa.
Sorry to interrupt. Students and maybe parents as well. From some of the responses that I'm seeing, clearly many of you do connect with some of these things that Spandana has spoken about. I'd like to say over here, because you cannot see the chats that I'm sharing with each of you, you are not alone. That is the one thing to remember in the context of stress. We feel we are out of control. We feel like we don't know how to get past this particular hurdle right now. The thing to remember is that it is actually not insurmountable, and it's very important to talk about it. If everything that Spandana is sharing with us today and giving us an insight into remains something that you haven't expressed the need for, please do that. At the end of this session, you will have contact information for us, but you do have your own support structures as well. You've got family, you've got friends, you've got teachers, you do have us at Page as well. Speak out. Stress is best handled when it is shared. And I will leave it to Spandana now to carry forward. But the reason I wanted to say this to you at this point is because from here on, everything that you look at as tools, connect it in the context of sharing. Okay. Sorry, Spandana, over to you.
No, not at all. Thank you so much. I'm not looking at the chats, but I think that was very important to emphasize that a lot of times when we are feeling that stress and we feel like very alone, because we feel that whatever is happening to us, it's only happening to us, right? Where everybody else is doing quite fine, actually, right? But that's not true, because everybody experiences stress in one way or the other. And it's very important to understand, like Luna said, is that you're not alone. There is always help that is available. The only thing that you would want to do is recognize that you need help and ask for help, right? So the first thing that you can actually do now, if you want to, while we are talking, is the circle of control. So when we say circle of control, we're talking about uh, something that you can control, that will help you, versus something that you can only influence, that is not in your control, which only creates a lot of distress for you, right? So for example, um, let's say I'm running late for a meeting, right? And I'm on the road, I have to go for this meeting, it's a very important meeting, and it started raining maybe, and the traffic is bad. So in that particular situation, things that I can control would be maybe just asking the the cab driver to drive a little faster, or I can call the client and reschedule my meeting, or or I can talk to somebody else who is around that area, maybe another peer of mine or employee of mine, and ask them to go to that meeting, start that meeting, and I can join that. These are the things that are in my circle of control. Whatever is not in my control automatically goes to my circle of influence, or even circle of concern, which I have not included here because I didn't want to make it too complicated. But if you are constantly worrying about, oh, it's raining, the traffic is bad, what will they think? Maybe I'll miss out on this, I'll miss out on that. Now, all these things, all these thoughts are not changing anything for you. The only thing that it is doing, it is that it is creating a lot of worry, stress, and anxiety for you, right? So in any situation, it's very, very important to see what is in our control and what is not in our control, something that we might be concerned about and something that we might be influenced about. You have a lot of say portion to complete. Whatever is in your control, you do that, because the moment things are in our control, it is our natural tendency to start feeling more safer, start feeling more confident, right? So at any given task, when you're feeling that stressed, maybe use this technique to see whether it helps you or not. Yeah, we'll quickly move on to this is something that I think is a basic whenever we are, especially in competitive exams, especially when we are trying to when we are at a point where we are trying to make a lot of decisions and we are trying to work on a lot of things. It's very important to work on expectations and having very realistic and rational expectations, right? Because for any task, if the expectations are very unrealistic, the chances are that it will fail and it will impact your confidence. If the expectations are very low, then also there is no point, because at the end of the day, the result will be that whatever that you achieve will be very low. So it's very, very important to have the right amount of expectations, so that you're not worrying about uh, maybe thinking, oh, I should have done that, I should have done this. You are able to focus and bring in all your energy to that particular thing that needs to be done, right? So having the right amount of expectations is a very important tool. We think that this is just something that we have to think, but it is a very, very important tool, because it will help you in planning the time, planning your tasks very clearly, right? And of course, when we talk about time management and schedule, if we had a lot of time, also people think that, oh, if we have like a lot of time, if we have more than the 24 hours, we'll get a lot of work done, which is not very true, right? So let's do a quick exercise, something that will take about 30 seconds. I want you maybe I want you guys to just close your eyes and open your eyes after 10 seconds. When I say go, close your eyes and open your eyes in 10 seconds. Yeah? 1, 2, 3, go. Okay. Since we are not in the classroom, we are not able to see, but I could see Runa, and I opened my eyes way, way sooner than her. If you were to see the time, a lot of you would have opened your eyes after 10 seconds or before 10 seconds, because time is very relative. When we are enjoying something, time moves very fast, but we don't like something, time moves very slow. So if you're in your favorite class with your favorite teacher, you're learning something that's very interesting for you, that period will be done, like so quickly. But if it is something that you don't enjoy, then it feels that 1 hour feels, or the 45-minute feels like, so long, right? So when we talk about time and schedule, it is not about having more time. It is about the ability to see time relatively and manage the time and the schedule, right? What works best is whatever that's working best for you. Create a schedule that works the best for you. Whatever, a simple thing would be, let's say if you're looking at what time to study, right? A lot of students like to study in the morning, a lot of students like to study in the evening, some students like to study in the night, right? So without compromising the sleep, either in the morning or in the night, finding your best energy time where you are able to, schedule that schedule the study time, whatever that works for you, do that, right? And maybe don't crowd the time with too many things to do, because just the time gets wasted in just adhering to the basics of these too many tasks as well, right? And I cannot emphasize more, please take study breaks. Taking study breaks is an extremely important tool, not just because your body is tired, because your mind is tired too. Our brain is not equipped to handle information on a continuous basis. It's very, very important to take those study breaks. But the only thing when we say take study breaks is maybe don't, go to social media and get into that loop, right? Just get up, take a walk, drink some water, just say hello and come back, and then after 5-10 minutes start, continue with your work again, right? This is something that you will be able to find anywhere. This is a tool that's used by a lot of performance, people who are focused on performance, people who are focused on getting a certain task done. Basically it talks about whatever the task is, how to sort of divide it, right? So you can, if it is very important and urgent, you focus on that. It is very important but it is not urgent, it is neither important but it is urgent, or it is not important and is not urgent also. So if you're able to use this, and you will be able to find it, like I said again, anywhere. If there is a task that you feel like you're getting stuck on, this is a tool that you can use as well. I'll not waste time on this because I want to go to the questions now. Again, a lot of emphasis on digital detox. I understand that we are connected on a digital platform, so it's very ironic that I'm talking about a digital detox. But when I'm talking about a digital detox, I'm basically talking about anything that is a social media reality. At this point of time, maybe moving away from that will help your brain sort of clear up, will give you more time, and something that you can, some the time that can be used for something else. And most importantly, a lot of research has indicated that when we are on social media and we are looking at other people living their lives, it creates a lot of subtle stress for us. So when you already are stressed with something that's ongoing, you don't need extra amount of stress with all the social media. So consider a digital detox. When I say be your own friend, I think, let's say your friend is not doing really well, and he comes or she comes to you, what would you tell your friend, right? You would be empathetic to your friend. You might say that it's okay, it's not the end, like you can start over, I will help you, so on and so forth, right? So empathizing with oneself is truly an extremely important tool when you are working on on examination stress. Because a lot of times what happens is that we give that empathy freely to our loved ones, but when it comes to us, we become very, very, very critical, right? And by becoming very critical, we also are stopping ourselves from really asking for help, and also unburdening and using the energy, right? So just maybe practice empathy for your own self. This is something that I find very useful because it's out there, it's something that you can see, it's something that you can work on. Creating a visualization board, this is just an example of a visualization board, but it can look like anything that you want. What are the goals, what are the things that you want to do? There's anything that you've decided on a career, how would it look like? If you don't want to write it, you want to just paste pictures, you can do that, or you can just take a paper and write the words down, so that when you look at that visualization board, you know what you're working towards. So after a while, it doesn't feel like you're just working on things without a name. You have a roadmap, you have something that you are working towards, right? And the visualization board also doesn't only have to be about academics and career. It can also be about things that you would generally do just as a person. What are the things that you would want, maybe from this year, from this academic year? If you want to make more friends, if you want to see something, if you want to learn a hobby, whatever that is there, just including that in the visualization board will help you to have that sense of who you are, and keep you grounded when you are in the process of preparing for examinations. Yeah. So a visualization board then, and please create a study space if you can. Do not, and I cannot emphasize more on this, do not study on your bed. Your bed is for sleeping, for resting. Your brain is conditioned to think that way. The moment you're on your bed, your brain thinks, okay, this is my time to relax. And the chances are that you're either sleeping or you're dozing off, or whatever you're studying, it's not getting really registered. So finding your space, study space, very, very important. Yeah. And please eat on time, please sleep, do not compromise by doing night outs. That's only for SOS. You cannot get the right amount of results if you're compromising on sleep, because sleep is the most important. uh, it's the food for your brain. Your brain gets rewired and re-energizes in the process of sleep. So having that right amount of sleep is very, very important. Eat nutritious food. If you feel like you're binge eating, you need things that are very salty, very sweet, maybe just keep something that's a little more healthy, and be prepared with what you want to eat. Just eat on time, do not skip any meals. Just because you have maybe a chapter to finish and you're compromising on lunch, it is not going to help the body, it's not going to help the mind, right? Please focus on sustainable activities and move. Exercising, stretching, paramount, very, very, very important. If you're just sitting at one place and you're just focused on one thing, great, but you need to be able to get up and stretch a little bit, maybe just a small walk, whatever that fits your schedule, that's absolutely fine, right? But it is absolutely not true that if you don't if you study all night and you're just sitting on one place and constantly studying, it's going to do more good for you. Maybe it might give you that immediate result, but it is not something that's sustainable, because this exam or the career is not something that you will be closing in whatever 6 months or 1 year. This is something that needs to be sustainable, something that you would want to carry on, right? So very important: eat, sleep, move. 3 words, very, very important. You want to write that in your visualization board, something that you can write down as well. Yeah. I think we've come to the end of it. I hope that I've covered everything that I was intending to, but let's open the forum now for questions. I think if we have any questions right now, great. Otherwise, if there are any questions, we can move as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Spandana. Yes, if any of you have questions, parents or students, participants, please send in your questions now. Spandana, one specific question that has come, and we did anticipate that this is likely to happen. One of the students has said, "Ma'am, I feel stress when I do maths. How to solve it? I feel I cannot do it."
Mm. Mm. I mean, I can totally empathize with whoever that is, because I feel very stressed when I do math as well. I think math has been one of my, uh, subjects that I struggle the most, right? And but I'm sure that every student has one subject that they struggle with. Uh, so when we are looking at a particular subject that is creating more stress for us than other subjects, one is to, of course, one is the skill part of it, which means that you sit and you revise and you just put more effort and more time into, because that particular subject will require a little more time than others that might come very naturally to you, right? So it might not be in your aptitude area. So skill wise, you would want to put a little more time into that. But before even going there, I think mentally, these negative beliefs that you have, these beliefs that says that I cannot do it, or this is something that I absolutely is very difficult for me. Maybe reworking on that belief might help, right? It is difficult, no doubt about that. It is it is not something that will come very naturally to you. That is also might be absolutely true. But constantly reaffirming that this is something that I cannot do, a lot of times we tend to make it a lot more bigger in our head than it actually is. So without discounting the stress that you're experiencing with that particular subject, just reworking on those negative connotations, negative beliefs might be one way to mentally handle that. The second way is the application part, like I said, where you actually put in that time, you put in that effort to learn that skill a lot more, because maybe it is not a subject that comes in under your aptitude, right? So treating it that way, and just understanding that we as people are very unique and very different. So there might be some strengths and there might be some weaknesses. And if you are by any chance in comparison to comparing yourself to others and saying, hey, they are able to do it, I'm not able to do that, kindly don't do that to yourself, right? So hence, understanding that it's okay to have weaknesses, understanding that it's okay to not be really good in these subjects, which might be the core subjects. But at the end of the day, it is a subject, it's a skill that can always be learned, right? So maybe just that focus shift might help. I hope that I have answered that. Runa, if you want to add something.
That's the question from Shlok Pimparikar.
Hmm.
Shlok, like Spandana said, there are two things. One is no longer telling yourself that you can't do it. Two is trying to figure out whether you need to have a memory palace around mathematics and around the subjects over there. So conceptually, is there a little spice box, a masala box that you need to make for yourself, where you plug maybe in one larger box the concepts that are easier for you and that you're comfortable with, and then in multiple other little masala boxes within the same larger box, you put in one each of the more difficult concepts. The idea is it's a photo reference for you, just as when we're talking amongst friends and we say, okay, I know this, I've got a photograph to bring up the details. That's exactly what you need to do. You need to formulate this photograph of whatever that concept is. And the way I do it is the concept, a key, whether it's a formula, a theorem, whatever it might be, and maybe one or two points that point me to the answer. Because if I have to sit and put the entire answer, it doesn't fit in one photographic image. So you need pointers, maybe use mnemonics, maybe make an abbreviation. Yeah. So I know some of you will say that, oh, we've heard these things and, people talk about them, but they work. They work when one of the earliest things that we had when we were young was WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. But these are things that 30 years later you will not forget if you make some of these tools for yourselves. Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to mention is all of you may have heard, we are what we eat. And what we eat translates also or extends also to the concept of consume. Consume can be physical food and drink, can also be anything else in terms of influences, can be in terms of material and content that we are exposed to. Like Spandana said, we live in a digital world and there is so much that is coming to us. The biggest element in that circle of control is choosing what you want to keep and choosing the time at which you want to take it in. There will be lots of material and information out there, and all of it may not be irrelevant. but it'll be more relevant at certain times to you than at others. And that is something that you have the greatest control over. So I'm in the sphere of needing to take exams. What exactly is it that I need to choose for this time? Everything else I can look at to take or to absorb or to engage with, say, maybe 2 months down the line once exams are done. Choose just what you need for now. It's the same as saying bite-sized pieces help you to chew better. Break it down for yourself. Don't take all of the information and influences that are out there. And like she said, expectation setting, that expectation setting is directly linked to that memory palace or masala box that I mentioned. Small, manageable chunks, and expand that, the number of little boxes in that larger box, to as much as you want to do it. It's a fact that difficulties are a part and parcel of life. You need to go through the academics to get through the next step. It's not optional, right? So you're going to have to find these methods. But when I said that there are lots of people out there that can help, that's where you reach out for tools like this. And feel free to engage. There will be contact information at the end of this session as well. So do that. But there is no escaping the fact that each of us needs to put the work in. We are helped when we help ourselves. And we are stronger for it. Yeah. There's a question from Shishira Reddy. I tend to get distracted very easily when I try to concentrate on one particular subject. My mind drifts somewhere else. How do I overcome it?
Yeah. So, Shishira, what could be happening is that you are not allowing yourself to give those important breaks. What happens is that when you schedule a certain study time, or or you decide that, okay, I'm going to study this and this, if there is a rush to sort of complete all of that without giving yourself the enough breaks, or if there is, you're jumping from one particular subject to another particular subject without allowing your brain to sort of transition into it, it is very easy for the mind to drift. Because at the end of the day, when we say brain and mind, you're basically talking on an emotional and uh, a mental level, right? In both these cases, we are not trained to concentrate on one particular thing for a longer time. I think it's about 20 or 25 minutes is when we will be able to just concentrate on something. So even if you're watching a movie, your brain will shut off for a quick minute, even if you're watching something very, very interesting. It's because your brain will need that, right? It's like, imagine you're riding a car and you're just driving and driving and driving and driving without, sort of, giving a break. It's going to get, it's going to either break down, it's going to get hot, right? So one of the things that I'm guessing is that you're not allowing sufficient breaks to yourself, and hence there is drifting happening. Or if there is, this mind is drifting to something, uh, a particular subject or a particular topic constantly, it means that whatever that particular topic it's drifting to, that's an area of concern or area of stress for you, right? So when you are not studying, maybe just mindfully think about whatever the mind is drifting to. Think if there are any stressors there, try to resolve that. But it could be that, and it could be actually as basic as you're not drinking enough water. And for some reason, I don't know why people have stopped drinking enough water, but your body is majority just water, right? So it's very, very important to constantly hydrate yourself when you're drinking, because it just basic that it provides that oxygen that your brain and body needs to function efficiently. A lot of times when we are very dehydrated, we tend to drift off, we tend to go off into some loop where we don't have to concentrate, where we don't have to apply the cognitive ability strongly, or we tend to feel a lot of fatigue. It could also be as simple as dehydration. I know it sounds very basic, but trust me, something as basic as that people miss, and it comes out as something that's, like a monster, which it's not, right? So please take correct breaks. Please, hydrate yourself. And if there is anything that is bothering you, otherwise, maybe just focus on that. Try to see what you can do about it, and schedule your work accordingly. Yeah.
Thanks, Spandana. I think your response ties in also to the question from Ashit Singham Setti, who talks about the Pomodoro technique of studying.
Mhm.
And he's wondering whether it will be easy and efficient in time management, which is similar to what you said. Would you be able to shed light on that?
Sure. So I'm not very aware of the technique, but from what I remember, it is about taking that breaks. I think the whole technique is about you spend like 20 to 25 minutes on the task, and after that you take a break, and then you come back to the task again, and again after 20 to 25 minutes you take a break. So it focuses on the emphasize it focuses on the importance of breaks. It focuses on the importance of scheduling the work in an efficient way, so that your brain can absorb as much as possible. And I think once you are done with those 25 chunks, you take a longer break. I think 4 times you repeat the 25 minutes, and then you take a longer break, which is, maybe more than 15 minutes, and then you sort of come back. So that will allow you to retain information. It will allow you to absorb information in a better way. And this very old school thinking of sitting in front of the book for 2 hours, 3 hours straight, it's not doing any good, right? So I think uh, I think that's what the technique is. I
Yes.
don't know. Yeah.
Thank you. I think we have time for maybe one last question, if you would, Shrikant. And this question, Spandana, has come to us from Jayanti, Pammi Jayanti, and says, "Good morning, ma'am. At times we face issues like students are under pressure because of parents' expectations, and that becomes a challenge for us to deal with. How do we deal with it?"
We need to have a webinar like this for the parents as well. That will solve a lot of things. But Jayanti, I think that's a very genuine question. I completely empathize with you on that, because I think the age that you guys are in is the most vulnerable age that a human can ever be, because you are entering adulthood, but you're also depending on parents. There's it's a good mix of being the child and the adult. So adolescence is always that transition, always that vulnerable stage, and I'm completely empathetic towards that, right? So with parental expectations, I think an easier way is to, if ideal way actually, is that if we can have that conversation with the parents, and help them understand what we want, and they are willing to accept that, they're willing to listen to their children, and rearrange that expectations. I think a lot of stress and a lot of problem can be solved in that as well, right? Of course, sometimes that's not very feasible, because parents are also coming from a place where they want the best for the child, and they're operating from whatever that they know and they have experienced, right? So one thing that I always tell students is that if you're trying to negotiate something with your parents, if you're trying to sort of give in another choice for career or anything like that, do your research. Go to them with valid and rational conversations. Go to them with resources that can help you to negotiate better with them, right? Because if you're just going and saying, you know what, I don't want to do this, I just want to do this, sure, that is what you want, but their first question, or can be like, okay, that's fine, but how much will you earn, or what will it give you, so on and so forth. But so it is very important that you are also ready with this information, right? So like Runa was talking in the beginning, just reaching out to resources like this, what page is offering, understanding about those careers, understanding about certain options that you have for you, going to them with those that amount of data might help in negotiating that information better, right? But yeah, I completely empathize with you on that, and I hope that uh, it changes far drastically. I think it's changed drastically, where parents are far more open, and in fact very adventurous with their uh, children's career options. I hope that it changes even more, but I think that's something that I can think about right now. Yeah.
Um, One last that I'm going
Sure.
to take, Spandana, and this goes to your slide around eat, sleep, relax.
Hmm.
I feel sleepy while studying. Can you please share with me some tips to overcome while studying? What I'd like to ask, if you can address, Spandana, is specifically how does exercise help?
Sure. Thanks, Runa.
Because it makes things more effective and efficient. Students are
Hmm.
obviously going to do more in the same amount of time, but it would be
Hmm.
good for them to understand why it is important and how physically it actually helps.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Right. So I'll address that and quickly talk about the sleep also, because everything is sort of correlated. So at the end of the day, we are these beings full of hormones, full of chemicals, right? There are certain hormones that make us feel sad, stressed, and there are certain hormones that make us feel good, that motivates us, that make us feel happy. It's as basic as it gets, right? What exercise does is that it helps you to create those happy hormones. It helps you to create that extra level of energy, that extra level of that extra level of motivation, if I may say. A lot of times people think that after exercise you'll feel very tired, but if you actually look, after exercise most of the times you feel extremely energized. And if you're not feeling energized, maybe because we've not eaten well, or we've not had enough water, or you're overstrained yourself. But other than that, if you do the right amount of exercise with the right amount of hydration, you will feel more rejuvenated. You will feel more, ready to focus on things, right? It's because of the very simple reason that exercise is extremely responsible, not just for health and for helping your body to get the right posture and all of that, but also because it releases the happy hormones, right? And sleep is very correlated to the exercise as well, because sometimes we don't tend to fall sleepy. I know I'm talking about the opposite of what the student asked, but a lot of times people feel insomnia because their body is so stressed and so tired that you can't go to sleep. So relaxing the body is not just going to sleep, but relaxing the body is also the exercise part of it, right? And if you are feeling more sleepy while studying, see, sleep is, your brain is not going to decide all of a sudden that, hey, I'm going to feel sleepy. It doesn't work like that. Brain's going to decide that I need to like sort of shut down now, because it really needs to shut down, which means whatever things that is required for its efficiency has not been provided. So sleep is always a consequence. If you're tend to if you're falling sleepy while studying, it might be because of the environmental factors, or because you are not, like I said a while back, you are not doing the needful things for your body. So please check where you're sitting and studying. If there are certain parts of the day where you tend to feel more sleepy, maybe look at the parts of the day where you are more energized and will be able to focus more. If you are dehydrated, you will be sleepy, no doubt about that. If you are not taking enough breaks, you will feel sleepy, no doubt about that. Yeah. If you are tending, if you are constantly going in a loop where you are trying to almost, take all the information again and again and again and again without allowing yourself to connect with that information, you will fall sleepy. So overcoming sleep is maybe not the right thing to do also, because sleep is very important. So somewhere it is missing, and it is overcompensating when you are studying. So either you're not having that right amount of 7 hours of sleep, either you're doing a lot of night outs, don't know, whatever is happening, something somewhere the brain is not feeling that rest. And when you are studying, what happens is that we sort of zone in, and then we go off to sleep. Yeah. So look for areas where you are not doing justice with resting or with sleeping, and this consequence will slowly subside.
Right. Thank you, Spandana. Students, I'd like to mention over here, we have parents that are part of this forum as well. And to those of you who wonder about how to deal with your home situation, I'll share with you what one of the parents has said. They've said, our expectation and our endeavor is to bring up our child in a healthy atmosphere in a very complicated world. So anytime you're worried about how do I deal with my parents' expectations, remember that they have as much of an expectation from the rest of the world to be able to empower you with the tools that you will need to go forward. Because it's very different now than it used to be 15 years ago, 25 years ago. It is a lot more competitive, no doubt. It's also a world which has a lot more in terms of options and opportunities. So choice becomes very, very important, but that much more difficult. So trust in them, like Spandana said, and they will be your first circle of support. I know I'm going back to an earlier question, but I thought I'd share this with you because it came directly from a parent. Thank you, ma'am, who is part of this forum. So you know that it is relevant to you, right? I think we are going to close the webinar at this time. We hope that we've been able to help you with some tools to work through in the coming weeks and the months of your exam preparation. Remember that you aren't alone. If you have questions, reach out to us. You can see a page being shared on your screens right now, and that will bring you directly to us. If you'd like more help with choices, visit us at any of our campuses to take a career interest test if you are not quite sure what areas you would like to look at going forward, or even to know more about Anveshan. Anveshan is a very popular boot camp that we have for class 10 students passing out of class 10. It offers you workshops on different kinds of careers. So it's a great insight into what some of those options that you are hearing about or reading about will actually be like if you have to live with that as a career choice. Our phone numbers are on your screens. And we look forward to hearing from you. We would love to meet you at any time that you choose to visit us. Right? I'm going to close the session now. Any further questions that you have, please feel free to address to us at any of our branches. Thank you so much for joining in. We wish all of you all the very best. We wish you much strength and positivity to navigate these next few months. They are important times, and rest assured that that all of us are with you in spirit. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, and we will see you at our next webinar.